Hello, work life warriors. I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to come past and talk about reading, or actually, I just want to do a book review. Not really. Well, basically, I've been reading a lot of books on consulting. Of course, as a consultant, I like to grow and develop and expand my skill set toolbox, and so I continuously read to grow and develop. I've read a couple of consulting books recently, but I kind of just want to talk about some ideas, and I think they will be closely related to this book, even though this will not be a book discussion about humble consulting. Just more so, I want to discuss some ideas and themes. So, one of the reoccurring themes to me is just two things: a level playing field and cooperation. So when I think about, after going through the book and reading it, what I think about humble consulting breaks down to, just two different sides. The first side um, is basically what I talked about, and the second side being that humbling consulting is a function of staying curious, having a growth mindset, and mastering our ego, right? So it's kind of, to me, uh, twofold. Now, when I think about leveling the playing field, I just mean hierarchies within the work environment, because talk a lot about psychological safety, which again, when you are around people who claim to have more status than you, more influence than you, more money, just overall are treated better in the organization than you, then you're less likely to give the best of yourself that can, add any value to the experience that you're having, to the organization, to the problem you're trying to solve. It creates barriers in people getting to people when you start to bring in accolades and status and those types of things. So my idea is in keeping the field even, keeping it an even field. It doesn't need to be hierarchies. We do not necessarily need to have people who are deemed more important or more vital to an organization than others. We really need to level the hierarchies within companies. I read a lot of articles talking about how, different people don't speak up because of the hierarchies within the organization. Like when a doctor is making a mistake, many nurses will not speak up because the doctor has perceived more status, more knowledge, more education. And so they will let the doctor make an error, and the error could affect the patient and kill someone or do anything. But at the risk of them putting their self in danger, that they remain quiet. And that's why I think that we all should treat each other equally. Who we are should be based on our character and our personality, or what we acquire in this life. I don't think that we should think people are better or worse because one is homeless and one is a doctor, or one is an entertainment, or one is a ball player. All people should be treated equally with respect, regardless of what it is that they do or don't do. They should be respected at a basic human level. And I would like for us to say, if we're going to have any hierarchies, the hierarchy should just be a human level. If you are a human, you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness and decency, not based on what you do or who um, you're tied to, or your family surname. Just the fact that you were born means that you're worthy of love, respect, and to be cherished, and given the opportunity to add some much needed value wherever you choose to be. And so that's a real big part of what is going on in organizations, because you have different levels, different titles, different hierarchies, and people don't feel safe. Those at the top, of course, feel the safest than those at the bottom, who are deemed disposable. And so the idea of humbling consulting, to me, or just the idea, is each person, regardless of if it's a kid, a homeless person, if it's an older person, each person has something to teach you that you can learn from, and that person also can learn from you. And so learning needs to be an exchange on a human level and not on a title or status or hierarchy level. And so that for me really hits home. Another thing is when we have hierarchies in the workplace, we tend to not gather ideas from all the people who will be involved, from all stakeholders. We don't go to the frontline warriors and ask, what are your recommendations? What do you think the problems are? What do you think a solution can be? Because they are thought of as lower level employees. No, people don't ask for, their opinion or their feedback when they are the people who deal directly with the customers or the clients, or live similar lifestyles closer to the customer or client. And so their feedback is so valuable, although depending on what type of organization that you're in, it may not be cherished or deemed valuable. And so, if we want an organization to make a major change or major shift, the first thing is having employees buy in, which means that all employees, from the janitor to the CEOs, must buy into the change process. And in order to do so, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, and from what I've learned, as far as research wise, we definitely need to incorporate every person who will benefit or even have any experience with whatever you're trying to change. So if they will be impacted or infected, it's important to get their impact, to know what they think about the problem and what solutions they will propose. And although, again, it doesn't necessarily work like that, in my idea, it should, because a lot of, especially as a consultant, you give a lot of information on what can change or what should change in order to help the organization, business, or company meet its goals. But the employees do not buy in, and then the change does not occur. So, humble consulting is just coming in on an even playing field. And this is just from my idea, what I've read, coming in on an even playing field and talking to everyone equally to solve the problem. Therefore, everyone buys in and get to add to the solution and want to work on the problem without being forced, without any consequences. It is something that they understand thoroughly and therefore want to do. And so, with all of the articles and that I've been reading lately on consulting and just trying to understand the new ideas or the nuances that are now popping up from new research, is just the idea of, instead of coming in acting like you know it all as the consultant, for you to create win-win situations by collaborating with the company. You don't know about the company and they don't know about the expertise they need to make the changes within the company. So you really have to partner together and collaborate in order to find a solution that fits the specific environment, because every environment will be different. And as a consultant, there is no one size fit all. Everything that you do should be bespoke. It should be designed specifically to the organization, company, or business you're trying to work with, because each component makes things different, depending on which industry and how many employees and what the culture is like, and all the nuances make it impossible for it to be a one size fit all. And when you treat it like that, as a consultant, you're not really addressing the problems. It's more of like an ego fix. So ultimately, when I think about the word humble, I don't necessarily like that word because of its origins, of course, what it means. I don't really like the idea of like submissive, lowly in matter, modest, not asserting, obedient. I don't really like these words. But when you think about it in forms of like staying curious, having a growth mindset, and mastering our ego, I guess it can be a term used. But I think we should just be humble to whatever higher power. But humble as far as being submissive, lowly in manner, modest, not assertive or obedient to another human being can be very dangerous. But if we're just going to keep it in the mind of staying curious, having a growth mindset on mastering our ego, I can get behind the humble consulting. Staying curious is just in general because we learn through curiosity. When you were a child, you were curious about this new world. You went out there, you tried new things, you learned new things, you asked questions, you got consequences, you got rewarded, you learned so many things in the experience, but you stayed curious. You always wanted to continue to grow and develop and learn and stretch and grow and have a good time while doing it. But then at some point, society tells you, okay, now you're no longer a child, you're an adult, and it's time for you to work, and curiosity has more to do with being. And so, seeing as though we work, we rarely have time to be or to stay curious about things that we don't already know. There isn't that much time in the day, depending on what type of responsibilities that you have. So many of us stop learning, we stop being curious, we stop asking questions, we stop growing and developing. We just go into a mundane schedule, day in, day out, doing the same things that don't make us feel engaged or satisfied with life. And so, staying curious is a big one in order for you to be able to have the experiences you want or make the connections that you want. You have to be curious about life and the things that you don't know instead of shutting off what you don't know. Although I know it can be dangerous, or you feel like it's dangerous to, have things unknown, but staying curious about them instead of shutting yourself off because they seem dangerous is always best. The second one is having a growth mindset, which I believe is more beneficial than anything in this life. You can have a fixed mindset and believe that you were born a certain way and you cannot change, grow, or develop, or you can have a growth mindset and believe that whatever you were born with is a starting point and you can continue to grow, develop, and change in the ways that can help you be who you want to be, do what you want to do, go where you want to go. It's always working on your weaknesses and acquiring new strengths, skills, abilities. It is making sure that you are renewing yourself and making yourself the strongest that you can possibly be, because the world is not really for the weak, right? And then mastering our ego, which is a really, really big one. A lot of times we don't learn or we don't do things, or we do things based on how it will be perceived or how we will look if we do them. And a lot of things that need to be done don't get done because of this. And a lot of things that should not be done are done because of our ego. And so we want to make sure that we are in charge of our ego, that we're in the driver's seat, and that our ego is not the driver, because your ego just want to keep you safe. It's going to keep you comfortable. It's going to protect you from what is new. It's going to keep you from embracing change. And you do not want your ego in the driver's seat. Your best bet is to put the ego not even in your passenger seat, because it's too close for comfort. You want to put them in the back seat. And if you're like me, you want to put your ego in the trunk. It's important for you to still have an ego, of course. And it's important for you to still be able to hear your ego, but you want to barely hear your ego. You don't want your ego to be screaming over all other thoughts, where you choose the easiest, most comfortable route that doesn't help you stretch, grow, expand, and be the person that you want to be. So mastering our ego is a big one, especially in the work environment, because we're taught to be sharks, wolves, lions. We're not supposed to be weak. We're not supposed to show any weaknesses. We're not supposed to make mistakes, but we are all human, and it is impossible to do that. You are putting your body under so much extreme stress by showing up in inhumane ways, and not honoring the human nature within yourself. Making a mistake or failure is just one step into growth. Mistake and failure are the same thing, depending on how you use them. Failure can be a catalyst for anything. Mistakes can be a catalyst for anything, depending on your mindset. And so we want to always continue to grow and check our ego, and stay curious about the things internal in our internal world, in our our external world so that we can develop and grow into the life that we want, that we can be proud of, so that when we get to the end of our lives, we don't have regrets. We are, excited about the life we lived and the journey that we're going to after we leave this earthly plane. So it was, in general, an interesting read. I want us to focus on cooperation and connection, less as a function of personality and more so focusing on your character and wanting to be open to other people, to stay curious about other people, to understand about what's around you, to be understanding about what is unknown instead of being afraid and scared and being in your comfort zone, which you don't grow from. You don't become your best self in your comfort zone. Everything great is outside of that comfort zone, is outside of the box. So you have to practice, you know um, meeting your fears and conquering them. So I really do believe that all of us, regardless of what titles we accumulate or what we accomplish while we're here, the accolades we have, what is most important is your character, and all people should be treated with respect, love, and kindness, regardless of what they do in life, or regardless of how much status or influence they have. That what is most important is a person's character and how they treat other people, especially when they know they can't get something or then they won't receive anything from whoever. So really thought this was an interesting book, an interesting concept. I'll continue to read on consulting, humble consulting. Um, I want to understand it a little deeper because right now I kind of feel more like a quick fix, a band aid to people's lack of character, and then focus more on a strategy for personality. I'm not sure if it was intended that way, but I'll keep doing more research on it to help figure out um, just to kind of unpack it on a level where it can be used in what I do, but not to again invalidate the human experience. So I hope this helps Work Life Warriors. We'll be back next week with a book report, um, the podcast with no name. And so I hope this helps. Share with me your ideas about humble consulting. Share with me some your ideas about anything I said in this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Remember, reading is your responsibility. It is a stress management tool. It is to help develop your brain. Your brain is a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. There are many ways to develop your muscle, including reading, meditation, quiet time, games, puzzles. You want to develop that muscle so that it can work to its fullest ability. You need it to go wherever you need to get. And so you want to make it your number one priority to keep your mind healthy so that it maintains your body. So, again, I hope this helps Work Life Warriors, and I will see you next Sunday. Have a great day.